The twin suns of Vatra 9 sank low over the rusted bones of a forgotten colony. Dust drifted through the air like tired ghosts, and a human scavenger named Eli Turner walked through the ruins with a half-broken respirator and an empty pack. He had been searching for medical supplies for days, bandages, painkillers, anything that could ease the pain of his injured crew waiting miles away in their camp. As he crossed a cracked bridge of metal and ash, he saw the flicker of lights in the distance. A trading post, one of those makeshift markets where humans, aliens, and smugglers gathered to sell what little they had left. The place looked half alive, half dying. Neon signs buzzed weakly, and the smell of burned oil mixed with alien spices. Eli walked through the crowd, eyes alert. He had learned long ago that kindness was rare out here. Credit spoke louder than compassion. But just as he passed a stall selling rusted weapons and glowing crystals, he heard a small, trembling voice. "Please, I only need a small pack of painkillers," the voice said. Eli turned. At the corner of the stall stood a young alien girl, no older than 15 in human years. Her skin was a pale shade of silver, almost translucent under the lights. Her eyes were bright and full of fear. She held out a small round object that pulsed with a soft blue glow. The trader behind the counter, a thick-bodied man with cybernetic arms, laughed. "You want medicine? With that?" He pointed at the glowing sphere. "That's a toy, girl. You think anyone's going to trade real meds for that piece of junk?" The girl didn't answer. She just looked down, clutching the sphere tighter. Her hands shook. Eli paused, watching the scene. There was something about the way she held that object, as if it meant everything to her. He couldn't look away. The trader shoved the girl aside. "Come back when you have something real to trade." The girl stumbled and fell to her knees, the blue sphere rolling across the ground. Eli stepped forward without thinking. He picked it up. It felt warm, too warm for a toy. The surface shifted like liquid light beneath glass. He handed it back to her. "Hey," he said quietly. "You okay?" She blinked, surprised. Her voice was small. "He wouldn't trade. My brother is sick. I just needed the medicine." The crowd around them ignored her, busy with their own dealings. But to Eli, everything else faded away. There was only the girl, her trembling hands, and that strange glowing sphere that seemed to breathe like it was alive. Eli turned to the trader. "How much for the meds?" The man snorted. "For her? Double the usual." "You really want to waste your money on that creature?" Eli didn't answer. He pulled out his last credit chip and tossed it onto the counter. "Give her what she needs," the trader grinned. "Your choice, human." He handed over a small pack of painkillers and muttered something about fools who never learn. Eli gave the medicine to the girl. She looked up at him, eyes wide with confusion. "Why would you do that?" "Because someone should," he said simply. She hugged the medicine close to her chest. "Thank you. My name is Lyra." "Eli," he replied. "Where's your brother?" She pointed toward the far end of the market, where a dark alley stretched into the ruins. "There, we hide near the old station." "The collectors come here sometimes. They take people like me." Eli frowned. "Collectors?" Lyra nodded. "They hunt the ones who survived the war. They sell us to scientists." Before he could speak again, Eli noticed movement, a shadow watching them from across the street. A man in a black helmet with the mark of a collector on his shoulder. "Lyra," Eli said quietly, "we need to move. Now." She hesitated, fear flashing in her eyes. "They found me again?" He didn't answer. He grabbed her hand and guided her through the maze of stalls. The crowd was thick, the air heavy with heat and smoke. Behind them, the collector started to follow. Lyra's glowing sphere began to hum, faint and rhythmic. It wasn't just light anymore. It was reacting, like it sensed the danger too. Eli pushed open a door to an abandoned corridor, leading into the old part of the city. The noise of the market faded behind them. Only the sound of their footsteps echoed now. They stopped in a narrow hallway filled with broken screens and alien graffiti. Lyra leaned against the wall, breathing hard. "Why are you helping me?" she whispered. Eli looked at her for a long moment. "Because I've seen too many people walk away from someone who needed help." Lyra held the sphere to her chest. The glow dimmed. "It's not a toy," she said softly. Eli raised an eyebrow. "Then what is it?" She opened her mouth to answer, but a sudden metallic clang echoed from behind them. Someone was coming. Heavy footsteps, deliberate and close. Eli motioned for her to stay quiet. The shadows deepened around them. Lyra's eyes widened as the blue light flickered again, reflecting on the walls like tiny stars. The collector's voice came from the darkness. "You can't hide forever, girl. Hand over the core." Eli's pulse quickened. The word core struck him. What did he mean by that? He reached for his weapon, half rusted but ready. Lyra whispered, "Please don't let them take it." Eli nodded once. He didn't know what he had stepped into, but he knew one thing. Whatever that glowing sphere was, it wasn't a child's toy. As the sound of boots drew closer, Eli took a deep breath and stepped forward, ready to face whatever was coming. The night outside burned with distant thunder, and in that moment, the fate of one human and one alien girl began to intertwine. The storm outside had begun to whisper through the cracks of the old city, carrying the low hum of danger. Eli pressed his back against the cold metal wall, his pulse steady but sharp. The collector's boots echoed through the alley behind them, slow, confident, and far too close. Lyra's small hand clutched the glowing sphere, its faint blue light pulsing like a heartbeat. "Stay behind me," Eli said quietly. His voice was calm, but his eyes kept moving, searching for a way out. The collector stepped into view. His armor gleamed under the broken neon lights, black and sharp-edged. A voice came from inside the helmet, flat, mechanical. "Hand over the girl. And the core. You don't know what you're protecting." Eli didn't flinch. "Maybe not. But I know you're scaring a kid for it." The man raised his weapon. "This is your only warning." The air thickened. Then Eli fired first. A single shot cracked through the corridor, glancing off the collector's shoulder. Sparks flew. "Run!" he shouted. Lyra obeyed, darting into the maze of tunnels. Eli followed close, firing behind him to slow the armored figure. The blasts lit the walls with white light, painting streaks of smoke and heat. They ran until the noise of the market vanished and only silence remained, broken by their heavy breathing. They ducked into an old cargo chamber filled with rusted crates and torn banners from the war long past. Lyra's small form trembled beside him. "He called it a core," Eli said, lowering his weapon. "What is it really?" Lyra hesitated, eyes downcast. "It's my mother." Eli blinked. "Your what?" She held out the sphere. The glow deepened, swirling like liquid stars. "Before my world fell, my mother placed her memories inside this. Everything she was, her voice, her mind, her heart, it's all inside here. I thought it was broken. I thought she was gone. But when I touched it earlier, it started to wake." Eli stared at the sphere, realization dawning. This wasn't a toy at all, it was a living relic, something powerful enough to make people kill for it. "Those collectors," Lyra continued softly. "They were part of the invasion. Now they hunt survivors. They want the core to sell it to humans, to empires. They think it can rebuild weapons from the war." Eli rubbed his jaw. "And you tried to trade it? For painkillers?" Lyra nodded, shame flickering in her eyes. "My brother's dying. He's only 10. I didn't care what they wanted. I just needed the medicine." Eli felt something twist in his chest. He had seen desperation before on human faces after battles and refugee camps after the wars, but something about this girl struck deeper. She wasn't begging for herself. She was fighting for someone else. He crouched down to her level. "Where's your brother now?" "In the station tunnels," she whispered. "I hid him there before going to the market." "Then we'll go there," Eli said. "But first we need to lose the collectors." Lyra frowned. "They always find me, the core. It calls to them." Eli looked at the sphere again. Its hum had changed, now softer, like it could sense her fear. "Then we make it stop calling." He reached into his pack, pulling out a thin foil blanket and wrapping it around the sphere. "Faraday layer. Might block the signal." Lyra watched, hope flickering faintly in her eyes. "You know so much about machines." "I used to fix ships," Eli said, almost smiling. "Before everything went to hell." They left the cargo room and moved through a series of narrow tunnels that twisted like veins beneath the ruins. Every sound seemed louder, the drip of water, the distant hum of broken power lines. Lyra stayed close, clutching her small pack. Finally, they reached an old stairwell leading down to the flooded station. The air was damp, filled with echoes. "There," she whispered, pointing toward a dimly lit corner. A thin figure lay under a torn blanket, a young alien boy, pale and still. His breathing was shallow. Eli knelt beside him, checking his pulse. Weak but alive. Lyra opened the medicine pack with shaking hands. He just needs this, please. Eli watched her carefully feed her brother the pills. It was a quiet moment, a fragile pause in a cruel world. But as the boy swallowed, the sphere inside the foil started to vibrate violently. Eli pulled it out. The glow was bleeding through the metal. Something's wrong. Lyra's eyes widened. They're here again. Eli turned. From the far end of the tunnel came the echo of multiple boots. This time not one, but many. The collectors had found them. Lyra backed against the wall. Eli, they'll take the core. They'll take me. Eli took a deep breath. He wasn't sure what had driven him to protect her. A stranger from a fallen world. But in that instant he knew he couldn't stop. He looked at her and said, "Stay with your brother. No matter what happens, don't move." Then he stood, his blaster in hand, and walked toward the sound of the approaching shadows. The blue light flickered on the tunnel walls, dancing between human and alien forms. The fight wasn't over, it was only beginning. The silence in the tunnel shattered. From the far end, metal boots struck the flooded floor, each step echoing like a countdown. Red targeting beams flickered through the mist as the collectors closed in. Eli pressed his back to the cold wall, heart hammering but mind clear. He'd been hunted before, but this time, he wasn't the one in danger. He glanced at Lyra crouched beside her unconscious brother. The sphere glowed faintly beneath the foil, fighting to be seen. It pulsed in rhythm with the approaching footsteps as if it could sense the threat. Eli's instincts screamed they could track the light. "Cover it tighter," he whispered. "Don't let them see it." Lyra nodded quickly, wrapping the silver blanket around the sphere and clutching it to her chest. The glow dimmed. Eli moved toward the shadows, crouching low, weapon ready. The first collector entered the tunnel, a tall figure in black armor, scanning with a thermal visor. Another followed, then another. There were 6 in total. They moved like a single machine, efficient and cold. Eli fired first. The blast hit a support beam and debris fell, scattering sparks through the air. "Run!" he shouted. Lyra grabbed her brother and bolted down the side corridor. The echo of blaster fire roared behind her. Eli fired again, forcing 2 collectors to duck. He turned and sprinted after Lyra, boots splashing through the shallow water. The tunnels twisted endlessly, lined with corroded metal and shattered glass. They reached a junction. Lyra looked left, then right, eyes wide. "Which way?" Eli scanned the walls. "Follow the airflow. It'll lead us out." They turned left. The path narrowed, the ceiling dropping lower. The lights flickered weakly, painting the tunnel in ghostly colors. The air smelled of rust and ozone. Behind them, the collectors' voices carried through the dark. Target locked. Moving to intercept, Eli cursed under his breath. He fired another shot backward, hitting a power line. The explosion filled the tunnel with white light. For a brief moment, everything vanished into smoke. When the haze cleared, they were running through a section that opened into an old maintenance platform. A wide, circular space filled with pipes, catwalks, and dripping machinery. It must have once powered the station. Now it was a graveyard of broken technology. Lyra's brother moaned weakly. She knelt beside him, whispering, "Hold on, please." Eli scanned the room. "There's a ladder. Leads up to the surface. We move now." But before they could reach it, a voice echoed through the chamber. Cold, synthetic. "You can't run from destiny, human." Eli turned. The lead collector stepped forward, armor reflecting the dim blue glow of Lyra's hidden sphere. "Do you even know what you're carrying?" he asked. "That device holds the code to rewrite life itself." Eli aimed his blaster. "All I know is you want it. And that's enough for me to keep it from you." The collector laughed, a harsh mechanical sound. "You're protecting a weapon, not a child." Lyra stood trembling but defiant. "You're lying. My mother's not a weapon." The collector raised a gauntlet and fired a pulse round. Eli dove in front of her. The impact threw him backward, pain tearing through his chest armor. He hit the ground hard, coughing. "Eli!" Lyra screamed. He forced himself up, grimacing. "Go!" he shouted. "Take your brother and go!" She hesitated, but then the sphere began to glow again, brighter than before. It shook in her hands, humming louder, responding to her fear. Blue light flooded the room, spreading across the metal walls like veins of fire. The collectors hesitated. One reached forward, and the light burned through his armor, shorting his systems instantly. The other stumbled back. What is this?" one of them shouted. Eli watched in stunned silence as Lyra's eyes began to glow the same blue as the sphere. Her voice trembled. "It's waking up," the ground quaked. Machinery around them powered on, ancient engines humming to life. Streams of light danced in the air, forming symbols, patterns, data from another world. Lyra looked terrified. "I can't stop it." Eli grabbed her shoulders. "Then control it. You said it's your mother. Tell her what to do." She closed her eyes, whispering something in her alien tongue. The sphere responded, pulsing slower, calmer. The lights dimmed, but one beam of energy shot outward, striking the ceiling. It tore open a path through the rusted structure, revealing the faint glow of stars above. Eli looked up, amazed. "You just made us an exit." The collectors regrouped, shouting commands. Eli grabbed Lyra's arm. "Go, climb!" She carried her brother up the ladder as Eli covered them, firing until his blaster overheated. He climbed after them, every muscle screaming. The tunnel below filled with angry shouts and sparks of gunfire. Finally, they reached the top. The night sky stretched wide and endless, lit by alien constellations. They stumbled out onto the surface, a wind-swept plateau of metal ruins. Lyra collapsed beside her brother, the sphere still glowing faintly in her hands. Eli dropped beside her, chest heaving. She looked at him, tears in her bright eyes. "You saved us again." Eli shook his head, looking back at the hole they'd escaped from. "No," he said quietly. "You saved us both." In the distance, the hum of approaching engines echoed through the wasteland. The collectors wouldn't stop. But now Eli knew something. Whatever that toy was, it wasn't just a relic. It was alive, and it had chosen to protect her. And for the first time, Eli began to wonder if this core wasn't a weapon at all, but a heartbeat from a civilization refusing to die. The night stretched wide and silent over the ruins. Faint blue light shimmered from the alien sphere in Lyra's trembling hands, painting soft glows across the broken steel around them. Eli knelt beside her on the cold ground, chest still aching from the blast that had nearly killed him. Every breath felt heavy, but he forced a smile. "You did good, kid. You kept us alive." Lyra didn't answer. She was staring at the sphere as if it were breathing. The glow inside it pulsed slower now, steady, calm, alive. Then a faint hum filled the air, not mechanical but melodic, almost like a lullaby from another world. Eli frowned. "What's it doing?" Lyra's eyes widened. "It's speaking." The hum shifted into faint whispering tones, almost like words carried by wind. Eli couldn't understand them, but Lyra could. Her lips moved softly, repeating the alien phrases as tears rolled down her cheeks. "What's she saying?" Eli asked. Lyra looked up at him. "She's asking if I'm safe." Eli stared at the sphere, disbelief washing over him. "Your mother?" Lyra nodded. "Her mind is inside the core. She's waking after all this time." The sphere brightened and the hum grew louder. Streams of holographic light unfolded into the air, weaving symbols and shapes that shimmered like constellations. Eli shielded his eyes. The energy felt warm, not burning, not cold, but something in between, like the touch of sunlight filtered through water. A faint image began to form within the light. A woman's silhouette, tall and graceful with silver skin and eyes that glowed the same blue as Lyra's. Her voice, soft and distant, echoed through the plateau. "Child, you survived," Lyra gasped. "Mother!" The hologram turned its gaze toward Eli. For a moment he felt seen, completely, deeply. "Human," she said gently. "You saved what was left of my child. You've done what your kind once promised, mercy." Eli didn't know what to say. His throat tightened. "I just did what anyone should do." The hologram's light flickered faintly. Few still would. Lyra reached out, her small hand passing through the projection. "You're really here." "I am a fragment," the voice replied. "My true self was lost with our world. This memory core was made to preserve what we once were." The collectors wanted to break the code, to twist it into power. Eli frowned. "They said it could rewrite life itself." The hologram's eyes dimmed. "It can rebuild life, but not as they dream of it. It is not a weapon, it is hope, a seed that can heal broken worlds." Eli exhaled slowly, realization settling in. "That's why they're after it." Lyra looked up. "Mother, they won't stop. They'll come again." The hologram's glow softened. "Then we must finish what I began." Suddenly, the sphere's hum deepened, sending ripples of blue energy across the ground. The air grew heavier. Eli stepped back as strange glyphs began to carve themselves into the dirt. Circles within circles, glowing lines forming a pattern around them. "What's happening?" he asked. Lyra's voice trembled. "She's unlocking something." The hologram turned to Eli. "Your world is dying too, isn't it, human? I see the sickness in your air, the scars of war in your eyes. My code can heal more than bodies, it can heal planets." Eli froze. He thought of his crew back at camp, of Earth's dying cities, of the endless hunger for survival that had brought him here. "If that's true," he said, "why hide it?" "Because every species that finds power," the hologram said, "tries to own it." A gust of wind tore through the plateau, scattering dust. The light around them flickered violently. The hologram flickered too, her face distorting. "They're close," she whispered. "They've found my signal." Eli gritted his teeth. "Then we move now." But Lyra clutched the sphere tighter. "If we leave, she'll fade again." "Better she fades than you die," Eli said. The hologram looked between them. "There's another way. The core can merge. Part of it with her, part with you." Eli blinked. "Merge? What does that mean?" "It means she will carry my essence." "And you?" The projection looked at him softly. "You will carry my protection." Before Eli could protest, the light exploded outward. He shielded his face as waves of blue energy washed over him. He felt warmth spreading through his veins, then a sharp pulse in his chest as if his heart had been touched by lightning. When the light faded, the hologram was gone. The sphere had dimmed, but Lyra was glowing faintly from within, her veins traced with silver light. She opened her eyes, disoriented. "She's gone," she whispered. Eli knelt beside her. "No, she's part of you now." Lyra's tears shimmered in the starlight. "And part of you too." Eli placed a hand over his chest. He could still feel it, a faint hum matching the rhythm of the core. A connection, a promise. But the moment of calm didn't last. The faint sound of engines echoed again, distant, growing louder. The collectors had found them. Eli stood, helping Lyra to her feet. "Then we do this together," he said. She nodded, eyes glowing brighter. Together, as the night wind howled across the ruins, human and alien stood side by side, two survivors bound by light, ready for the storm to come. The sky over Vetra 9 cracked with thunder, a storm born of metal and static. On the plateau, Eli and Lyra stood shoulder to shoulder, wind cutting through the silence between them. The faint hum inside Eli's chest pulsed in rhythm with the glowing veins on Lyra's skin. They were linked now, human and alien, bound by the dying echo of her mother's consciousness. Below the cliffs, distant lights moved like a swarm of fireflies, collectors. Dozens of them. Their transport crafts were gliding over the desert, engines whining low. They were coming fast. Eli adjusted the rifle slung across his back and scanned the horizon. "We've got minutes," he said. "Maybe less." Lyra clutched the dim core against her chest. "We can't outrun them." Eli nodded grimly. "No, we hold them off or we don't make it." He knelt beside her, pulling open his pack. Inside were fragments of old explosives, broken circuits, and a single transmitter still blinking weakly.
He hesitated.
The transmitter connected to the Atlas outpost, the human command center orbiting this world. If he sent a distress signal, they'd come, armed, fast, and ready to kill anything they didn't understand. Lyra's soft voice broke his thoughts. "That device, it calls your people?" Eli nodded slowly. "If I activate it, they'll come for us. But they'll come for you too." Lyra lowered her gaze. "They will take the core and destroy it," Eli said quietly. "Just like the collectors would. They'll see it as a threat, not salvation." The air trembled again as thunder rolled closer. The first collector craft appeared on the horizon, sleek and black against the lightning-lit clouds. Eli's pulse quickened. He looked at Lyra, the small alien girl clutching what remained of her world. He thought of Earth's cracked skies, of children coughing in the polluted air, of the word hope losing meaning long ago. He couldn't let both worlds die for fear's sake. "We need to move," he said. "There's an old bunker beneath this ridge. It'll give us cover." They scrambled across the rocks as engines roared overhead. Blinding searchlights cut across the plateau, slicing through dust and rain. Eli pulled Lyra into a narrow passage hidden beneath a collapsed tower. Inside, the bunker smelled of rust and oil. The hum in Eli's chest grew stronger. He could feel Lyra's heartbeat through the link. They were both afraid, both alive. "We can't stay here forever," she whispered. Eli nodded. I know, but we can decide what happens next. Lyra looked up at him. You mean, give them the core?
He hesitated.
Maybe not give. Maybe use it, her brows furrowed. Use it how? He swallowed hard. Your mother said it could heal worlds. What if we activate it right now? Let it release whatever it carries, even if it destroys it. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. If we do that, she'll be gone forever. I'll lose her again. Eli knelt, his voice soft but firm. Lyra, sometimes doing what's right means losing something precious. She shook her head, backing away. You don't understand. She's all I have left. I do understand, Eli said, his voice cracking. I lost everything once too. My family, my home, all gone because people were too afraid to do the right thing. Rainwater began to drip through the cracks above, falling in slow, rhythmic drops. The sound mixed with the growing whine of collector engines closing in. Lyra clutched the core tightly, its glow pulsing brighter. She said it could heal, she whispered. Maybe it can protect too. Eli frowned. Protect how? She looked at him with new resolve. If I merge fully with it, if I let it become me. Eli's stomach turned. That's suicide. She smiled faintly, tears running down her silver cheeks. Maybe not. Maybe it's what she wanted. Eli grabbed her shoulders. No, I'm not letting you die for this. But you'd die for me, she said quietly. The words hit harder than any bullet. He couldn't speak. Outside, a deafening boom shook the ground. The bunker door shuddered, blaster fire. The collectors had arrived. Eli turned toward the sound, weapon ready. We're out of time. Lyra looked down at the core, its light growing unstable. Then I'll make sure they can't take it. She stepped back, pressing her small hands against the sphere. It began to hum violently, energy spilling out in wild waves. Eli shouted, Lyra, stop! She looked at him one last time, her voice trembling but sure. Tell them we tried. And then the light exploded. A massive surge of blue energy flooded the bunker, shaking the ground for miles. The shockwave tore through the approaching collectors, their ships crashing like falling stars. The storm above turned into a spiral of glowing clouds. When the light faded, Eli lay on the floor, barely breathing. Smoke filled the air. He blinked, searching. Lyra was gone. Only the faint shimmer of blue dust floated where she had stood. The core lay cracked and silent beside him, its light extinguished. Eli crawled toward it, his heart hollow. Lyra. But then, deep inside the broken sphere, a single flicker of light returned, tiny, fragile, but alive. He felt it hum inside his chest again. The bond. She wasn't gone. Not completely. Eli looked toward the sky where the storm had cleared to reveal a field of new stars. He whispered, You made the unthinkable choice. And in the distance, through the wind and static, he could have sworn he heard her mother's voice, so did you. The storm had passed, but the world had changed. The sky above Vetra 9 burned in strange blue auroras, ribbons of light still dancing from the explosion Lyra had caused. The ground steamed where the collector crafts had fallen. For a long time there was only silence, broken by the hiss of cooling metal and the lonely hum that lived now inside Eli's chest. He woke slowly, his vision blurred. The bunker was half collapsed, its walls scorched with electric burns. Every muscle in his body ached. He tried to speak her name, but only a whisper came. Lyra, no answer. Only that soft vibration deep within him, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat that wasn't his own. He pushed himself up, coughing. The air stank of smoke and ozone. The cracked sphere lay near his hand, split open, drained of its glow. Yet as he touched it, a faint shimmer moved across its surface, and for the briefest moment he heard her voice inside his mind. I'm here. Eli froze. Lyra. The reply wasn't sound. It was feeling. Warmth, fear, determination. Somehow, when she had unleashed the core, part of her had fused into him, just as her mother once had. She wasn't gone. She was inside him, living as a whisper of light and memory. Before he could think further, a faint clatter echoed through the ruins above, metal shifting, boots scraping. The collectors weren't all dead. Eli grabbed his rifle, dragging himself toward the shattered doorway. He climbed up through the wreckage and emerged into daylight. The plateau looked like a battlefield. Blackened ground, twisted armor, and burning ships scattered across the plain. Yet among the wreckage, several figures still moved. The lead collector, his armor cracked and smoking, staggered forward. Half his mask was torn away, revealing a pale, scarred face beneath. His eyes locked on Eli. You destroyed half my unit." Eli raised his weapon. "You should have left her alone." The collector sneered. She unleashed a storm that wiped clean the sky. "Do you have any idea what that power could have done if controlled?" Eli didn't answer. He felt Lyra's presence stir inside him, her fear mixing with his anger. "She wasn't a weapon," Eli said. "She was trying to protect what was left of her people." The collector's eyes flickered with something that might have been pity or greed. "That core was never just her mother. It was a seed protocol, technology older than your species. With it, I could rebuild what was lost, worlds, armies, anything." He stepped closer, wounded but unbroken. "Tell me, human, do you really believe mercy can save a dying galaxy?" Eli's grip tightened on the rifle. "I believe compassion already has." The collector lunged. Eli fired. The blast struck true, sending the armored man crashing to the ground. Sparks burst from his chest plate. He coughed, metallic blood spilling down his jaw. "Fool," he rasped. "You think you saved her? You just awakened something your kind will never control." Before Eli could respond, the collector pulled a small black device from his belt and crushed it. A low hum began to build, faint at first, then growing louder, deeper, until the ground itself began to vibrate. Lyra's voice flared inside his mind. "He's calling the relay." "It's a beacon." Eli cursed under his breath. The collector had activated a signal, one that could bring reinforcements or worse. He sprinted toward the device lying near the dying soldier. The hum grew unbearable, the air trembling like a living thing. He slammed his boot on it, trying to crush the metal casing, but it wouldn't break. "Lyra," he whispered, "I need you." For a moment, nothing. Then warmth spread through his chest again, rising, brightening. His fingertips began to glow faintly blue. Energy flowed through him, not painful this time, but alive, responsive. The bond between them wasn't just memory, it was power. Guided by instinct, he pressed his hand over the beacon. The light in his veins flared, crawling through the device like veins of fire. Circuits melted. The hum died instantly, leaving only silence and the echo of his heartbeat. Eli dropped to his knees, exhausted. The smell of burned metal filled the air. "You did it," Lyra's voice whispered softly inside him. He smiled faintly. "No," he whispered. "We did it." He turned to look at the collector, who was still breathing weakly. The man's voice came out ragged. "You're no hero, human. You're carrying the same infection that killed her people." Eli frowned. "What are you talking about?" The dying man laughed, a dry, broken sound. "The core wasn't made to heal. It was made to choose, to find the next species worthy of it. You think it bonded with her? It's bonding with you." Eli froze. His pulse quickened as the glow beneath his skin flickered again. "That's impossible." The collector's voice faded. "Then why is it still alive inside you?" And with that he was gone. Eli stood there, staring at his own trembling hands. Blue light pulsed beneath the skin, stronger now, steady, alive. He could feel Lyra still within him, but something else too. Something vast. Something ancient. A cold wind swept over the battlefield, scattering ash into the air. He looked toward the horizon where the alien auroras still shimmered. Maybe the collector was right. Maybe this wasn't an ending. Maybe it was only the beginning of something far larger. Something that could either save or destroy everything left alive. He closed his eyes, hearing Lyra's quiet voice again. "Don't be afraid, Eli. She trusted you." "So do I," he nodded slowly. "Then I guess I'd better be worthy of that trust." The hum inside his chest deepened, no longer fragile, but resolute. As the twin suns rose over the ruined world, their light reflected off the cracked core lying at his feet. It glowed once more. The twin suns of Vetra 9 climbed slowly above the scarred horizon, spilling gold light over a world reborn in ruin. The plateau still smoked from the night's battle. Shattered collector ships lay half-buried in the sand, their engines whispering dying sparks. In the middle of that wreckage stood Eli Turner, motionless, breathing the thin air that smelled of ash and new beginnings. The glow beneath his skin pulsed faintly, blue light threading through his veins like quiet rivers. Lyra's voice stirred inside him, soft and distant but alive. "It's morning," she whispered. "We survived." Eli looked down at the cracked core in his hands. Its light shimmered like a heartbeat. We did, he said softly. But not everyone did. He turned toward the crater where Lyra's body had vanished into light. Only dust remained, fine, silver dust that glittered when the sunlight touched it. He knelt, letting it run through his fingers. You gave everything, he murmured. Now it's my turn. A faint warmth answered from inside him, her presence gentle as breath. You're not alone, Eli, I'm still here. He exhaled slowly. The ache in his chest wasn't just pain anymore. It was purpose. He rose and began walking toward the distant cliffs where the old comm tower still stood. It leaned sideways like a dying tree, half buried in the sand. If he could get it working, he could reach the orbiting human fleet, warn them about the collectors, maybe even send the data inside the core before it was lost. Each step felt heavier than the last. The desert wind carried whispers, echoes of Lyra's people, their laughter and songs hidden in the light that still danced faintly across the clouds. The explosion had done more than destroy, it had awakened something. The air felt cleaner. The soil beneath his boots was soft again, alive. Vetra 9 was healing. Lyra's mother had been right. The core didn't destroy worlds. It restored them. At the base of the comm tower, Eli found what was left of an ancient transmitter. Rust ate through the panels, but some circuits still flickered with weak light. He set the cracked core beside it, hoping the link between him and Lyra could bridge the gap. Can you help me? He asked quietly. The voice inside him brightened. I think so. But it will cost more energy, more of me. Eli hesitated. No, you've given enough, Eli. Her tone softened. My mother built the core to pass her light to whoever was willing to protect it. She chose me. And now it chose you. It's not a burden, it's a gift. He stared at the transmitter, hands trembling. Then let's use it right. He placed his palms on the metal and closed his eyes. The glow from his chest spread outward, flowing into the circuits. For a moment he could see everything. Streams of data, broken frequencies, the ghost of old human codes floating in the static. Lyra's energy guided his mind like a hand through darkness. Together they rewove the shattered signal, patch by patch. The tower groaned, lights flickering to life one by one. Then a connection sparked. Command Station Atlas. Came a voice through the static. Identify yourself. Eli opened his eyes, tears blurring the light. This is Eli Turner Salvage Division. I'm alive, and I found something. Turner, the voice replied, disbelieving. You were declared missing months ago. What's your status? He looked down at the glowing sphere. Complicated. But listen to me, Vetra 9 isn't dead. It's alive again. The alien core we thought was a threat. It can heal ecosystems, maybe even planets. You need to see this. A long pause crackled over the line. Eli, are you saying you activated alien tech? That's a level 5 containment risk. He shook his head. No, it's not a risk. It's hope, Static answered him, then silence. The signal was gone. Lyra's voice drifted softly. They won't believe you. Doesn't matter, he said. I'll make them. He uploaded the core's data directly into the tower's memory banks. The holographic light unfolded once more. Symbols, codes, and blueprints far beyond human science. It was everything her mother had preserved. Healing nanites, atmosphere restorers, biological renewal systems. The knowledge of an entire civilization now lived inside him in this single beacon. Eli activated the final command. The tower pulsed once, then shot a beam of pure blue light into the sky. It pierced the clouds, stretching beyond the atmosphere, an unmissable signal to anyone watching from orbit. As the beam climbed, Eli felt warmth spread through his body, the last trace of Lyra's essence intertwining with his heartbeat. You did it, she whispered. Now they'll know, he smiled faintly. We did it. The beam faded into the heavens, leaving only the soft shimmer of auroras across the dawn. Eli sat down beside the tower, exhausted but alive. He could feel her presence dimming, like a candle nearing its end. Lyra? He whispered. I'm not leaving, she said, her voice like wind through glass. I'll just be quieter now. You'll carry me in your light. He closed his eyes as tears traced lines through the dust on his face. You already are my light. For a long while he sat there beneath the rising suns, listening to the wind move across a world reborn. Flowers, small, silver and luminous, had begun to sprout from the cracked ground around him. Life was returning. Eli smiled. Humanity would come soon. They'd study this world, claim it, maybe even colonize it. But somewhere in their data logs they'd find his message, and maybe, just maybe, they'd remember the alien girl who traded her only toy to save her brother. And in doing so, saved them all. He looked to the sky one last time, where the faint beam still shimmered like a scar in the clouds. "Rest easy, Lyra," he whispered. "Your mother's light made it home." And as the first morning breeze brushed his face, Eli felt the hum inside him settle into a steady, peaceful rhythm, a heartbeat that belonged not to one being, but to two worlds forever linked by the unthinkable act of mercy.